Shelley, John.
Right now we are live at an anti-mask rally here in what's you would describe as like the Wall Street of Hong Kong.
We're in Central, which is the business district in Hong Kong. What's happened is that yesterday the rumor started spreading that, reports started spreading that the government was going to enact a anti-mask law using these emergency regulations ordinance that would give the Hong Kong government and Carrie Lam a lot of power to pass whatever laws they want without having to go through the legislature.
And the problem with this is protesters have been wearing masks in the first place because they've been trying to hide their identity. Hong Kong police have been very aggressive at arresting people. They're always filming the protests. So the reason people are wearing masks is to hide their identity. So they avoid getting arrested months or even years down the line.
Yes, people, if you get charged with rioting, which could just be being at an assembly like this one that wasn't sanctioned by the police, you could get up to 10 years in prison.
Yeah, this is technically an illegal assembly.
Yeah, so this was a flash mob that people planned to come, and today people are wearing masks just in protest at that law. Now, the proposed law that the government is, the Executive Council is meeting today to discuss whether to enact it, but the proposed law would let police force anybody on the street wearing a mask to take off their mask, and if the person refused, if they're arrested and convicted, they could serve up to 6 months in prison for refusing to take off a mask.
Also, part of the problem is it would potentially allow police to search people for a mask, and if you've ever been to Asia, you know people tend to wear surgical masks when they're sick. So there'd be a huge possibility that police would be arresting a huge number of people, a lot of protesters who are just people who are sick.
Well, there's supposed to be some kind of provision to prevent, to let people who have medical
Yes, and the police have always shown a lot of restraints.
Yeah, but if you wear a mask to a protest, then you could get up to a year in prison if you're convicted under this proposed law. So people are pretty upset about it.
Yeah, they're also talking about potentially implementing a curfew, and that's the kind of thing with these emergency regulations ordinances.
Emergency regulations ordinance. Yeah. So it would let the government basically more or less declare a kind of martial law in which they can just pass laws without going through the proper process.
It'd be the end of the rule of law in Hong Kong. And as you can see, a lot of people are turning up wearing masks to protest. So what they're saying now, they're having 5 demands, not one less than 5 demands. Protesters have had since the beginning of these protests back in June. Now, actually, the history of the emergency regulation ordinances is pretty interesting. They were enacted during British colonial rule in 1922. And the last time they were used was, I think, 1967.
In 1967, there were leftist riots in Hong Kong that
supported by the Chinese Communist Party. Ironic, isn't it?
Supported by the People's Militia from mainland China, from the Chinese Communist Party. They were trying to, it was a year-long kind of action where people were bombing and killing people. The public was kind of terrorized. There were 2 kids who died in a bombing.
Anti-communist radio star who got burned alive
in his car.
So those were much worse than anything that has happened here.
Yeah, but that's the last time the government used these emergency laws, and they imposed a lot of censorship, a lot of kind of emergency laws that gave the police new powers, and they were, they quashed those riots.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been,
Real quick, I want to have Matt, who's the camera guy right now, just give kind of a quick look around and see how many people have shown up. Many of them are wearing masks to protest this law, and I don't think we have an official word yet on whether it's passed. I believe they're debating that in the Legislative Council right now.
It was pretty clear that they were going to do it.
Yeah, it seems very likely.
And the thing is with these anti-mask laws is that historically in other protests they don't seem to work.
Yeah, obviously protesters who are already attending illegal assemblies, we're going to keep wearing masks.
I believe
they're not going to stop them. They're going to break curfews as well.
Yeah, people have been definitely more willing to break the laws in terms of if this is an assembly that's not sanctioned by the police, people are willing to come out anyway. where people were pretty afraid of that before. So, this kind of definitely escalated the situation. Also, you have to understand, right now, we are in like a public park in the middle of the central business area in Hong Kong. All around us is all the financial institutes, the big banks, things like that. So a lot of the people here are even like office workers on their lunch break.
And there's so far no police presence here yet. And as Shelley mentioned, it would be kind of absurd for riot police to show up in the central business district and start tear gassing business professionals. However, Hong Kong police are capable of pretty much anything.
Yeah, we've learned that they can be a little unpredictable and not to underestimate what they won't do.
Yeah, again, a protester was shot point blank in the chest live on October 1st.
He is alive.
Stable condition.
He's alive in the hospital. He's been charged with 2 counts of rioting and 1 count of assaulting a police officer.
Yeah, there is some rumors though that police are saying he attacked the police officer. There is some evidence, though not conclusive, that the protester was actually waiting for Sorry, we cut out for a moment there, but we're back. In case you didn't hear that, we were just explaining about these rumors that police kind of planted a more deadly weapon on the protester that they shot. So people continue to stream into here. This was supposed to begin at 12:30. We're about 10 minutes into this flash mob. Technically, this is an illegal assembly. You can see protesters are holding up 5 fingers representing the 5 demands. Many of the chants are done in English for the benefit of the Western press that is here. So yeah, any attempt to actually, if the Hong Kong government does actually pass its anti-mask law, I think my concern is currency regulation orders would pass. The Hong Kong police would feel emboldened, like they would really feel like the government is on their side no matter what. If the chains are, and they can do whatever they want without repercussion or consequence.
There's also the issue that if Carrie Lam uses the emergency regulations ordinance, which is in a way saying that there's like an emergency in Hong Kong, that could be used as an excuse for the central government, for the CCP to come in, use the People's Armed Police, which they can if the chief executive requests. Right? So that the larger fear is not the mask law, anti-mask law, so much as this is the beginning.
It's the beginning of a slippery slope that's going straight to the.
I think we're already on the slope.
Yeah.
We're definitely on the slope.
Yeah.
But it could get a lot steeper.
I also heard the analysis that the emergency regulation ordinance would allow Carrie Lam to seize assets of businesses in Hong Kong. So it could also be the beginning of Hong Kong as a financial center in Asia. So this is not. It's hard to understate how big of a deal it is that the Hong Kong government is trying to pass these emergency regulations.
Yeah, you can see the escalation from the government and the police the whole time. Before October 1st, the police were warning that they might have to shoot somebody, they might have to shoot to kill.
Yep.
Carrie Lam saying that it's a miracle that people haven't been shot yet. Then on September 30th, the police relaxed the regulations. They rewrote some of the regulations about when it's appropriate to use lethal force. And then the next day, they shot 6 live rounds, 4 of them at people, and hit 1 person. Which actually, if they shot 4 live rounds at people, it's kind of a miracle that they only hit 1 person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
are these bulletproof, Shelley?
Before I kind of felt like they were a sort of protection in a way
because
from the police.
Target journalists.
But we've seen them repeatedly fire tear gas when there are only media around.
Yeah.
We've seen them push, Matt's gotten shoved a bunch from the, police. They've
recently there was that Indonesian journalist who got shot in the eye with a rubber bullet, and she's gone blind in that eye now. There is evidence that they are targeting journalists now.
So what's happening? The crowd is moving. They are going to march to the IFC Mall. Which is down by the waterfront.
That's the independent film channel mall.
Yes,
right?
definitely the independent film channel.
So we're going to try and get out in front and kind of follow it along. Join us. Hopefully this is not going to be like the last time you guys joined us for a march through Hong Kong when phalanx of riot police joined us.
So far, we seem to be all right. Yeah. But, you know, here's where you can see, like, Hongkongers of all different, you know, walks of life really coming out to protest. And a lot of these people aren't, you know, the frontline protesters that are really ready to fight the police.
But it should also give you a sense for how activated the Hong Kong civic society is.
Yeah, I mean, there have been protests at night over the last couple of days since October 1st, and we see over and over police coming into a residential area, and then like residents, like people on the street, not protesters, starting to just yell at them, telling them to go away, telling them that everything's safe until you get here.
Yeah. And so again, we're in essentially what is the financial center of Hong Kong. This would be like all of the Wall Streeters coming out for the protest. This is definitely representative of mainstream Hong Kong society who are donning masks in support of protesters. So clearly, I think any attempt to pass an anti-mask law would fail.
I mean,
well, they would implement it, and people would just ignore it.
Well, you know what happened with people are already joking around about, you know, what to do if the mask law passes, and maybe they can wear like face masks, like those Korean like face masks that like women use for, or men, you know, women and men can use them for,
face bikinis,
you know, beautifying. Yeah, although people are like, we have to get them from mainland China because that's not really a thing here.
Yeah.
But like, you know, people are talking about face paint or like all these different kinds of creative things. I personally suggested people should wear those like full face visors that like old Asian aunties use, you know.
Yeah, they're really the most dangerous protesters.
Yeah, you have that because it's technically not a mask.
What about the official mascot of the Hong Kong Fire Department? That sort of full body gimp suit, basically.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a little creepy, but it's a cut called Anyone, and he's a very popular mascot of the fire department here. So people were joking that then anyone could be arrested. You know?
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, you see a variety of masks out. A lot of people are wearing the common surgical masks that people in Asia typically wear when they're sick, which is also part of the reason why this anti-mask law would be kind of insane. People wear this under just normal circumstances. But then you also see people in the more heavy-duty black masks. We saw a lot of people wearing these earlier today. You know, there's been some call that basically everyone needs to just wear a mask.
Yes, there we go. Oh, did you see the guy in the business outfit kind of wearing the goggles and...
I did not see. We do have our helmet and gas mask with us, just in case. You know, again, one would hope it's unlikely that Hong Kong police would start tear gassing the central financial district of Hong Kong. But we really don't know what the Hong Kong police will do.
We saw them almost shoot tear gas at a row of empty garbage bins.
Yeah.
So...
However, at the moment, I see no signs of police. But this is not 100,000 people marching on the street.
No, that's true.
But you'd also think they would not fire tear gas at 100,000 people marching on the street, and they did. So.
No. They waited until people were done marching, and then they came out of the, subway stations and started firing tear gas at people out of the subway stations.
Yeah, so. Like the orcs of Gondor. Was it Gondor?
Okay.
Mortar? It's the mine that they were in.
Oh.
I'm not seeing Colbert. I'm not great on
Moria?
rings.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, Moria.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
The mines of Moria.
Yes. Okay.
The Hong Kong. Now I got the analogy. The Hong Kong subway stations are like the mines of Moria.
Where's the Balrog?
That's Carrie Lam.
Okay.
Or maybe it's Xi Jinping. I don't know. By the way, speaking of that, if you guys haven't seen it,
oh yeah,
South Park. I haven't watched South Park in like 10 or 15 years, but they came out with an episode this week called Banned, B-A-N-D, in China, and we really got the sense that it was like their personal frustration of having to deal with Hollywood censorship.
Yes.
And always being focused on making things appropriate for the Chinese market, Chinese census. It's spot on. You guys should check it out.
Oh, they go into it. Randy gets it sent to a Chinese labor camp, and then it really gets real.
It looks like the footage of the Uyghurs being like handcuffed and chained and dragged through. Talk about organ harvesting. Really, it was very, very satisfying to watch. So a little plug for South Park. Maybe Trey Parker and Matt Stone will get to be interviewed on the China Unscripted Podcast.
You're just throwing that out there.
If they're watching.
Oh yeah.
We'd be very interested in. We can maybe find some time in our schedule. So again, there I see an American flag being waved.
They're now shouting "Liberate Hong Kong, Revolution of Our Times," which has become the theme of the protests.
And there is some historical precedence for these kinds of anti-mask laws not working. I believe in the Ukraine at one point they had an anti-helmet law, and so people just strapped frying pans to their heads.
Yeah, people wore cooking pots and stuff to the protest. It's just they also had an anti-mask law in Ukraine. And earlier, a few months ago, there was a Hong Kong legislator, a pro-democracy legislator, who they were threatening these anti-mask laws a while ago, and he was like, if you pass this is what caused the revolution in Ukraine. You do not want to escalate it to that point,
An anti-mask law would be a pretty boneheaded thing to do. The curfew would also be pretty boneheaded, but again,
every
Carrie Lam
time
is very tone deaf.
it just seems that every time that things start to die down a little bit, or we reach October 1st was obviously going to be a flashpoint because it was National Day, but maybe things nope, they shoot somebody, and now the day after they shot somebody, they are talking about having an anti-mask law. So,
which personally kind of makes me wonder, maybe Carrie Lam is on the side of the protesters.
I know you've had this theory since the beginning.
Escalating things to create reform, because she knows she doesn't have the power to go against Beijing. So she's activating. She's the catalyst to activate this.
She's definitely a catalyst. I'm not sure if she's a purposeful catalyst.
Everything she's done is so dumb. It must be by design.
Well, also,
what do you guys think?
I don't know. People are also saying that there was a chance that they were going to escalate anyway after October 1st, that they wanted everything to be happy for their big military parade. They wanted people to talk about how great China was rather than talk about the Hong Kong protesters protesting, which didn't really work out for them.
No.
And then the idea was after that, then, the gloves are off.
Yeah, but obviously the world is still going to be watching Hong Kong. If the gloves come off, I don't think that won't be a good idea.
No, but that won't stop them necessarily, right?
So if you're just joining us, this is a flash mob kind of protesting the anti-mask law that the Hong Kong government is currently debating right now. Protesters have been wearing masks covering their faces since the beginning of these protests over 100 days ago to hide their identity, because there's been a fear based on lived experience that if police get footage of your face, you'll be arrested. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but often in the next couple of months, even in cases of people being arrested years later.
Yeah, we just yesterday talked to a Hong Kong legislator who was arrested and sentenced for her part in the 2014 umbrella movement this year. So,
and a big part of that is if you are sentenced to anything more than 3 months, I believe, you can't run for office. So by doing this, they effectively cut out another popular pro-democracy legislator from running for office again. So they're definitely using it as a well-timed political move. So,
there's the U.S.
I'm beginning to recognize people now. I recognize her. She's the reporter. She was sprayed with the blue dye. It's an interesting community. At some point, this is supposed to turn into a march, right, Shelley?
Yes. The idea is they're going to go to a mall that's a little further down.
Does that mean we'll be passing by the Shake Shack?
I don't know, actually.
If we pass by the Hong Kong Shake Shack, we might need to make a quick pit stop for research.
I think it's on another street because it was the street we got tear gas. Like, police started tear gassing.
Oh yeah, I
rather than the street we watched.
It's weird. So many of my memories of Hong Kong now are like, oh, I remember getting tear gas on this street corner. Oh, here's where they hit. There's a good amount of people here, and now the march is going to happen. Again. Oh, I hear a siren, but it's a fire truck, so that's less of a concern. Firemen have generally been better. Now, again, we've been saying, logically, if you're a reasonable person, you would not send riot police to disperse a gathering in your central financial district filled with people who are business people. But who knows what Hong Kong police will do. So there are sirens in the background. As far as I can tell, those are firemen and firewomen. I don't know what the emergency is, but maybe they're just getting there in case.
The emergency is the breakdown of Hong Kong civil society by the Chinese Unscripted.
Who knows? Maybe today's going to end in the purge. We'll see.
This is actually our last day in Hong Kong.
Yeah, this is our last day in Hong Kong. So if you don't hear from us for a little bit, don't freak out.
Yeah, we're fine. We're just on a plane. Yeah. They are calling for, if the government does pass unilaterally pass the anti-mask law today, they're calling for another a march tomorrow on Saturday. So it'll probably be a very interesting weekend.
But this has been a really improving trip for us to come back to Hong Kong. Now we see a lot of the China Unscripted fans who were at the fan meetup back in June, who came down to end the protests. We met one guy. It should be safe to talk. I won't give up that guy. He's a fan of the show. But he's basically so moved by the Hong Kong protests that like every 2 weeks or so, he flies out from San Diego to come out and support the protest.
Yeah, and he's just like an American, a white guy.
Yeah. We told that story to the pro-democracy Hong Kong legislator we interviewed yesterday. She almost had tears in her eyes.
Oh, she definitely had tears in her eyes. I think the people of Hong Kong are so appreciative of any, support that they get, any international support that they get. A lot of Hong Kongers have joined Twitter to try to raise awareness of what's happening in Hong Kong to people, outside, because they heard that a lot of people who care about things like political things are on Twitter, so they've come on Twitter. So they really, really care about having people know what's happening here.
So keep leaving those messages of support on the YouTube, on the Twitter, on the Uncensored Instagram, place. There's a lot of 50 comments. There's a lot of now 50-cent only people on the Instagram right now criticizing the protests, etc., etc. So, well, I don't recommend arguing with them because you're not going to change their minds, but
I mean, it is still nice to be like, this is not what everybody feels like,
Yeah. And Hong Kongers like the words of support. It means a lot. They're definitely fighting. It's a slippery slope here, so they're fighting an uphill battle on a slippery slope. Like how these metaphors are coming together.
I do. And how does the tear gas come into this? Well, we do. Tear gas does make the floor really slippery. Tear gas and pepper spray.
Is that why the floors were slippery?
Yes.
I thought it was garbage that
No. It just it coats the ground and makes it pretty slippery.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know that, but that makes sense.
So that's where the slippery slope comes from. It's all the tear gas.
All the tear gas. Okay.
Yeah.
They're fighting an uphill battle on a slippery slope covered with tear gas and pepper spray.
And now they're not going to be allowed to wear masks to protect themselves.
No. Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, even being anywhere in the vicinity of tear gas, like blocks away, if tear gas has been fired, mask on because it really lingers and gets in your face.
I do have to say that I've seen some pretty hardcore they just wear towels around their necks and then kind of just cover their face with the towel when the tear gas comes. I saw this guy he was a photographer. He didn't have a press vest on, but was a photographer, and then he
if you turn around, protesters are blocking off the streets.
So people, and this guy, he was just in the middle of tear gas, like his face was like red, he's streaming tears from his eyes, still taking photos with just a towel over his face.
That's hardcore.
So,
well, because the Hong Kong government is doing a lot to make it very difficult to get proper gas masks here in Hong Kong. There's been some instances of like people trying to import some from Taiwan, or like bring them in their suitcases and then they get stopped.
You know, we're passing the Bank of China right now.
Very appropriate. So these protesters have essentially occupied this street for a little bit.
You can see maybe the guy holding the Pepe doll. I know a lot of you noticed the Pepe that somebody kind of photobombed Chris with during one of the protests episodes we did. And Pepe here is a kind of a symbol of the protesters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've adopted him as kind of like an everyman, protester kind of
trash
figure.
can and back to you, Matt.
Yes.
I just saved Matt's life.
From the police.
From the police?
You saved him from the police.
No, from that.
I know. But we're going to just make this.
Oh, yes,
bigger.
that time I saved him from the police.
Yes.
They shot rubber bullets at him, but I just flexed my pecs in front of him, and the bullets bounced off and ricocheted back into the police officers.
So you don't need a bulletproof vest. You have your pecs.
I don't need a rubber bullet proof.
Okay.
There's a sky bridge up here and people are looking down.
If you turn the camera around, there's two trams, these Hong Kong trams.
Yeah. Matt, show the buses kind of surrounded.
Those are
There's a mild annoyance inside there, but that is to be expected. Yeah. So this is now the second time in a week that we've been marching through these streets. Last time it ended very, very badly. Fingers crossed it doesn't happen like that again. Shelley and I and Matt do have our gas mask and helmet just in case. There has been like some people grumbling like maybe they have throttled the internet in Hong Kong. And we have noticed, not just in the midst of protests, but citywide, the internet just kind of works as well as a week ago. So I don't know if we will do that, or how we'd even ever find out.
We're coming up on a skybridge that has a 70th anniversary of the PRC banner on top of it.
I do see some people are donating. Thank you so much. If you have questions, we might be able to get to them later, but right now it might not be super likely to do that. Or what do you think? All right. All right.
Yeah. So
We'll try to answer some questions later if possible.
We're just, if you can see around us, all of the protesters, most of them, they don't have gas masks on. They just have like
these are the common surgical masks people wear throughout Asia when they're sick. And it's great. Like I see a lot of the, what do you call them, the bystanders and pedestrians. They're smiling. A lot of them seem kind of happy about this.
Be careful, there's a bunch of air back there.
Yeah, there's been makeshift road blockades put up. So I'm sure there are some very unhappy people who are just on their lunch break. That's why this is happening now. It's during the, basically, it's a crazy system. Basically, the entire city collectively gets 1 hour for lunch break at the same time. So this is a very busy time in the city.
Yeah.
That's why they're out here.
It's, and we're marching through you'll see Burberry, Dolce & Gabbana. This is like a very rich area, luxury stores.
Yeah. Then again, on October 1st, they did shoot tear gas in this area, so...
Yeah, but, the stores were closed.
The stores were closed for National Day celebration.
Yeah, something I've realized being in Hong Kong this time is that even though a lot of people who are not marching on the streets, they are still very supportive of the protesters.
Yeah.
So So, there was this situation we were in on October 1st.
I see a guy in the tram like smiling and nodding.
Yeah, we were
taking photos.
in the middle of this
Other
area.
people in there holding up the hands for the 5 demands.
Yeah. We were in this area called Wan Chai, and the protesters were fleeing from the police, and then a lot of residents actually hid the protesters in their apartment buildings. They opened them up so protesters could escape the police. So then the police were like, where did everybody go? They just disappeared.
Yeah.
But that's one of the dangers too with this anti-mask law and the emergency ordinances. What would prevent the police from just storming into people's apartment buildings?
Yeah, unwarranted searches of people's homes.
Yeah.
That's something they have tried to pass in Hong Kong before. In 2003, it was called Article 23. It was billed as sort of this national security bill.
Yeah.
Keep everyone safe. And basically would have allowed police to do unwarranted searches of people's homes, as well as other types of censorship. It would have been really bad.
It also would have been like an amendment to their basic law, which is the Hong Kong Constitution. And it would have made things that were illegal in mainland China also illegal in Hong Kong.
Yeah, so that was a big concern, for instance, for like the Falun Gong practitioners inside Hong Kong. People can practice Falun Gong inside Hong Kong, and obviously in mainland China, you do that to get your organs harvested.
Yeah, but not just that. Like, there are so many things that are illegal or, fall under these broad security laws in mainland China that, like, it just thinks that, in a free society we're used to being able to do, like demonstrate on the street.
Yeah. Matt, just so you know, everything's kind of funneling into a narrower space, so just beware. Matt's been doing a great job doing camera for this whole trip. All of the videos and the lives that we're doing, he's shooting the camera. It's definitely very brave to dive headfirst into tear gas. So, props to Matt.
Yes, please, clap for Matt. It's a little hard for me to tell in the middle of a protest how many people there are. Definitely
I think it's at least 15.
Yes. Oh, yesterday we went to the Legco to interview a legislator, and we bumped into a group of people supporting the anti-mask law. A whole 7.
But they had the big Chinese flag. They're very impassioned about how important it is.
Yeah.
Security, it's very important.
Yeah, but I noticed that some of them were kind of using the flags to cover their faces.
Oh, yeah. Hey, it's an anti-mask law, not an anti-flag covering your face law.
There you go.
Which I feel like protesters could then use. To
There you go. Yeah, the part about the law would make it illegal for people to wear masks at protests. And then they would also, not just illegal protests that the police haven't condoned, but any public gathering. And then they would also make it possible for the police to make anybody walking down the street take off their mask if the police suspect they're using the mask to hide identity. And if you refuse to get arrested for refusing to take off your mask, you could get up to 6 months in prison. For being at a public event with a mask, you could get up to a year.
Yeah, I'm sure the police wouldn't take advantage of that to look at pretty girls' faces.
I think that's probably the least of the worries right now.
Well, it's just one other thing that would happen.
So what people are yelling out is the liberate, reclaim Hong Kong, revolution in our times. And really what the Hong Kong government, what the police have managed to do is turn this into an issue from just one extradition bill that people called an evil law to now it being kind of a protest against the entire system.
Yeah, not just the Hong Kong government, but the Chinese Communist Party itself.
Yeah.
Which is great to see, in my opinion. I think you see more and more governments around the world, welcome to China Uncensored, standing up to the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, so I think also, people are also calling this anti-mask law an evil law now. So it's just inflaming things further.
You've also seen people using the slogan, heaven destroys, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. And that's a little bit of a confusing term in English, but it kind of comes through this 5,000 years of Chinese history and culture of the idea that there's the heavenly mandate and the ruler has the heavenly mandate, and when the government becomes corrupt, heaven in the sense of more the Taoist nature, kind of natural course of history, will then lead to the destruction of that party. So it's a way of saying, basically, that the Chinese Communist Party's time is over because of their own stupidity and corruption.
Yeah, I have to say that the Chinese Communist Party has lost the mandate of heaven is a little clunky as a, protest.
So feel free to start using Heaven Destroys the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP. Let's make that a slogan. Let's make that a hashtag. Hashtag Heaven Destroys the CCP. I like it.
I feel like that's so confusing to people. Okay, if you up here, the people in the tram are waving at people, thumbs up.
So these are people who should be gimbal.
Everything's okay.
We're not being shot. It's a technical issue.
Do you need me to hold something, Matt?
Yeah, hold this. Ancestors cry. That's right. And now we're holding up. All right, technical.
We look like a few hundred, but it looks like more people are joining as the march.
I am going to do a wild estimate of 50,000.
That is a very wild estimate.
Yep, but I feel confident in it.
Okay. As long as you say it with confidence.
Whoa. We were talking about hashtag Heaven Destroys the CCP. I want to see that used.
So we were talking about something.
Right. Again, if you're just general sense that after October 1st, National Day, destroys the CCP. Later today, we're going to do a search on Twitter for that hashtag. Do not disappoint me. Friends. Hashtag Heaven Destroys the CCP. I hear people with voices getting very hoarse from Shelley. This is so much bigger than Shelley and I are mad.
Yeah, first we're at China Garden. We're like, is anybody going to show?
We thought, maybe 100, 200.
There were a couple hundred people. We're like, all right, it's a few hundred people. And now I think we're definitely in the thousands.
Yeah. I'm going to say 50,000. I'm just saying that based on feel. And I'll check later and see how good my crowd estimation skills are. So again, this is a march against new laws that are being proposed in the Hong Kong government that would ban face masks, which is stupid because these people are going to ignore that law if it gets passed. Also in Asia, people wear surgical masks whenever they're sick, so they'd be arresting people who are not even protesters. But the reason they're targeting the masks is because protesters wear them to disguise their identity, because they're really genuinely afraid of retribution from the government, not just in the days after a protest, but in the months and the years. Shelley was saying earlier, we just interviewed a Hong Kong pro-democracy legislator who was arrested 5 years after the 2014 umbrella movement. Her charge, I kid you not, her charge was inciting people to create a public nuisance.
Yes.
Inciting people to incite a public nuisance.
Yes.
And that carries a stiffer penalty than simply inciting people to a public nuisance.
No, she got both. She got inciting people and then inciting people to incite people. But if you just created a public nuisance, it wouldn't be that big of a sentence. But inciting to incite people to create a public nuisance, up to 7 years in prison.
I've always felt I've been inciting people to incite people to love.
Yeah, she got a 2-year suspended sentence.
I don't think Shelley.
Partly because when she got a physical to see if she was okay to go to prison, she found a brain tumor.
Yes. So they gave her a suspended sentence. But the reason they do that in her case, and like why they waited 5 years, is because if you get a sentence over 3 months, you are not allowed to run for office. And there are district council elections coming up. This essentially is a way to disqualify a popular pro-democracy legislator from running.
They've already done things like that over the last 5 years with different people who were protested during the 2014 umbrella movement. There's still a judicial process where people can appeal the sentence, but this process takes years. So people who get arrested,
basically the way the legislative council works in Hong Kong, which is supposed to be the only check there is to the Chinese Communist Party, there's like a group of legislators who are pro-Beijing no matter what. And then there's like about half of it that's left for people to kind of vote on. And the Communist Party and the Hong Kong government has been working to make sure that you can't get any pro-democracy legislators elected. So they're basically subverting the law and stacking the odds against the pro-democracy people. So, and that's why you see these kind of protests in Hong Kong. Basically, this is the only way Hong Kong people have to have a say in their government anymore, because of the systemic way the Communist Party has been eroding their freedoms.
And even this, these protests,
They're trying to squeeze out the space.
Well, in the basic law, the Hong Kong Constitution, the freedom to assemble is there, but there are these laws that allow the police to give permission or not to a protest. So if the police doesn't give your protest a permission, it's technically an illegal assembly and people could get arrested.
And charged with rioting, which carries a 7 to 10 year prison term.
Well, they have to call it a riot for them to be charged. So, but like illegal assembly, you still can get arrested for being there. And so, more and more over the last few months, we've seen the police just stop giving out the, stop saying permission. So,
which is kind of going against the whole right to free assembly.
Yes. So every time you come out to a protest that's an illegal assembly, you're taking a risk.
Which is why the masks.
And then that's why also, the MTR has been shutting down whenever there's a protest somewhere to prevent people from getting there. The police have, been trying to stop. It's just basically they're trying to keep the Hong Kong people forever coming out to the streets, like 1 million people, 2 million people again.
But I just gotta say, as an American, who grew up having to study American history, seeing so many people out shouting "Fight for freedom," it's really moving. To see people, their will for liberty and democracy. This is incredible. This is the kind of thing you usually only read about. It's a beautiful thing. All along the sky bridges, people are looking, taking pictures. Are we headed back to the LegCo, I think?
Well, the original plan was to march to the IFC Center.
Okay, we are kind of turning. What is the IFC Center?
The IFC is a mall. One of the high-end malls here in Hong Kong in the Central District.
Unfortunately, we are marching further and further away from the only Hong Kong Shake Shack. I guess
we can get Shake Shack in New York, though.
Yeah.
What you can't get is thousands of people marching for their freedom.
Not necessarily.
Oh, there's that Hong Kong is not China graffiti.
Oh yeah, there's still graffiti peppered all around the city.
Yeah, graffiti used to be a very infrequent thing in Hong Kong. People did not do it, even during the 2014 umbrella movement. When you saw people postering or putting up the post-it notes,
things
right?
I remember when we were here in June, it was a big deal. So there was a day we were there when protesters surrounded the Hong Kong police headquarters, and that first time they put up paper around the security cameras so they couldn't record anybody. The next time they did it, they actually used black spray paint to kind of spray paint over the security cameras. Yeah. And that was wow, a huge escalation.
I think that first time we were in front of the police department was the first time I'd ever seen them spray paint anything, because they spray painted in front of the police department. So now you just see graffiti kind of on the ground
everywhere.
and it's all kind of reclaim Hong Kong, revolution of our time, 5 demands, not 1 mess, anti-CCP stuff now.
Yeah. Occasionally you'll also be walking down the sidewalk and suddenly come to a place that's just sand because all the brick sidewalk has been torn up.
That would be because the protesters have pulled up the bricks used against the police. Yeah. Although I do have to say that now that we've been here for a few of the more confrontational protests, I understand better, seeing why they have bricks, or why they have the Molotov cocktails, or why they're setting fires, to kind of delay the police, or they set fires at the entrance of the MTR stations because the police are using the MTR stations.
When Shelley says delay the police, what'll happen is the police will surge down a road to attack protesters, and so protesters will create barricades to then slow the police down, then allow the protesters to retreat more and more and more. And this is not how they always use Molotov cocktails. but like they'll light a fire, so that allows for more time to retreat.
Yeah,
or
and
throw a Molotov.
specifically seeing them light fires in front of the MTR stations, because we literally have seen police come out of the MTR stations to firing tear gas.
They started shutting down the subway stations to, one, make it harder for people to get to the protest area and then also to get out. And then they've also started using the closed-off subway stations as staging ground for police to sort of pop up out of nowhere and start attacking.
This is what happened in Central on Tuesday, on National Day. The protest was already kind of dispersing, and then suddenly there's fire trucks, and it's because people have set fires in front of some of the subway entrances, and it's because the police have come up and started shooting tear gas out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, so we're close to people.
Okay.
I mean, oh my God.
I cannot. This is the first time I've actually looked behind us. And I'm amazed at how many people. I think my 50,000 estimate is
too low.
If anything, going to be too low.
This extends for the length of at least 20 football fields.
Yeah, we thought we were in the middle of the protest kind of when we started marching, and now there's so many more people.
I'm going to say this is at least 50 million people.
I think your estimate might be a little off.
You think?
A little bit, being that there are only 7 million people in Hong Kong. Where have they imported the 43 million people from?
The press.
Okay, there's 43 million press here.
There's 40 million press. Yeah, I love looking at the bystanders, just looking at their faces and like trying to read what they're thinking.
I do have
definitely.
We bumped into a poor guy who was like at our hotel who was just trying to come here for vacation with his family.
Oh yeah, he was like, I think I chose a bad time.
Yeah, he was.
To be fair though, he should have done a little more research.
Yeah, well, who knows how long ago he planned this vacation.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Often you'll plan a vacation at the beginning. If he planned it at the beginning of the year, there was no way he could have known.
No way.
But, so now we're basically entering the high-end mall. Historically, things have not gone good for protesters when they get inside a mall. Often that ends in tear gas, so I don't know where these people are actually headed.
We'll see.
I mean, there's too many people to fit inside this mall. It's a huge mall. But there's so many people.
Hong Kong malls are pretty big.
Okay.
I am seeing a lot of people
moving about over there. So I think they're onto
Alright, we're back.
Okay, we've walked around to the front of the protest.
This is the front of a long, snaking protest. I mean, the number of people here is incredible. Like, this was... I don't know if anyone was expecting this.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, every time the Hong Kong people surprise me and impress me, really.
Yeah, I was like, oh, is it going to slow down? No. The city's too activated now. And it'll be amazing if the Hong Kong government, so if you're just joining, the reason this is happening is because the Hong Kong government is pushing for essentially judicial powers that give the government ban face masks and curfew, unwarranted searches. If they push forward with it despite this, and they're just crazy.
Well, I'm not going to say they're not going to do this. Yeah, we're now seeing we're marching up and seeing the back of the protest kind of come. We can't see the end of it yet, but it's wrapping around here. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, it's incredible, like the feeling of being in the middle of a crowd of people like this, I cannot really describe, like, the energy that comes from people. I mean, and this is completely peaceful, nobody's done anything.
Yeah.
Well, also, there are no police. So,
and this is always the thing, when it's people like this, crowds of people like this, doesn't matter if there's 10,000 or 2 million, everything feels very safe. As soon as the police get here, that's when things suddenly feel dangerous, like something's going off the trail. 5 demands, not one lie. You should be learning this phrase in Cantonese now. So much. Matt coming up
This
in
is
the
a
back of
new
your
one. I'm
garbage truck.
actually not sure what the Hong Kong people. It's not add oil, so.
Yeah. It's amazing. I hope this spirit can like catch around the world. And again, we were talking about this at the beginning. South Park just did an amazing episode talking about how ridiculous the censorship in the U.S. has become over like Hollywood studios trying to self-censor to get into the China market.
Also just
Crazy it is.
and also just in general business people who are
people need to like wake up. Like the thing people are so desperate to do business with is what these people are protesting against. It's what they're fighting against. It's really just this evil regime, and it's inexcusable to be doing things to support it.
Yeah, we do see a lot of people who are, all ages, like all walks of life here.
Yeah.
People dressed casually. People who are obviously office workers.
Yeah, a lot of these people are office workers on their lunch break.
So yeah, this isn't just a thing about like, only the radical frontline protesters use masks, or it's
Obstacles in back of you, Matt. I once again just saved Matt's life. Beautiful thing that's been. Well, so the march was supposed to end at this mall, so we're kind of in new territory now about where they're marching to. I wouldn't be surprised if it does end up in Ledgeco, but currently the government is debating if they want to implement these emergency regulations.
They're at the executive council, the Exco building next door, because Ledgeco is not in session right now.
That's right.
Yeah,
Ledgeco has been out of session for longer than they should be.
Yeah, but they're coming back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So even if they wanted to do anything about this law, they wouldn't be able to do anything about it for another few weeks.
Yeah, they're pushing this obviously without the feedback of the legislative council, because come on, if you're going to get rid of the rule of law, you don't want people to have a say in it, right? Seen the end of this.
Yeah, it's not ended yet. This is kind of like the front and the back are meeting, but
it's got to
still,
go on for like
still
a
going
mile
on.
or more.
We could take a quick look down the street and see how far down it's coming.
Man, look at this bus driver's face. All the people on the sky bridge. Yeah, so the Chinese Communist Party just celebrated its 70th birthday.
No, not the party's birthday.
The founding of the People's Republic.
Yeah.
That's when they conquered China.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer it's going to last.
So it's the 70th birthday of the People's Republic of China.
Remember the hashtag I told you about earlier, hashtag Heaven Destroys the CCP. I'm going to do a search for that later, and I'd better see people using it. Maybe to share this video, I don't know. Alright, so we're getting into a bit of a traffic jam as the massive protest was kind of merged into oncoming
I think
traffic.
we're basically cutting across like a 6-lane highway.
And again, this still feels safer than if police were here.
Oh, definitely. 100%. I feel fine right now. And this is kind of what Hong Kong people do. Like they have these protests that they like every year on June 4th, on July 1st, on October 1st. They have these protests where everybody marches down the street. That's like their exercise of their freedom of assembly. Right? People pass out, posters for people to hold. People bring their families. It feels kind of like a carnival-ish atmosphere. But like these last 3 months, it's really changed.
what I'm amazed at is that the CIA is able to pay all these people. Really amazing.
I mean, when they paid 2 million people, that was the really.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, I think the same thing on October 1st. Like, people were talking about marching, and then they shut down, like, 11 subway stations, and we were like, oh gosh, nobody's going to show up. And more than 100,000 people did.
I do feel kind of bad for anybody, like, in a car right now who, like, made the decision, like, oh, I really got to go to the bathroom, but I can wait till I get where I'm going.
You know, I feel really bad for the people the other night who were in the cars when the police started firing off tear gas next to them on the street. We're trapped in a car.
Now is not a good time to be a driver in Hong Kong.
Some taxi drivers and drivers have been very supportive of the protest. Bus drivers, taxi drivers, helping the protesters get to safety. And we've talked to people who do this kind of like carpool thing where they will drive and pick up protesters after a protest to get them away from the police because they've shut down the subways. And people are trying to boycott the MTR, the subway system, and like encourage more people to take buses.
There are also other businesses that are being boycotted. For instance, the Starbucks here, the Starbucks franchise in Hong Kong is owned by a company called Maxim, I believe.
Maxims,
and it's like
they own a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
it's like a big
tied to
conglomerate.
China.
Well, no, what happened was the Maxim heiress, she's old, but like she's the heiress of Maxim, went to the UN and like said that like, you know, the Hong Kong protesters were rioting and all this stuff, and that like the government should crack down and all, you know. So that's why people are especially upset at Maxim.
And Starbucks. I thought it was just because Starbucks coffee is terrible.
Yeah, that's the real cause. They tried to introduce pumpkin spice lattes here, and that's why people are in the streets.
That's right. Pumpkin spice lattes are a government conspiracy to make people weak and docile, so they can't protest the government and avoid the pumpkin spice lattes. You heard it here first on China Uncensored. This is my actual belief.
Later, you can say you were just doing this for entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh look, some parkouring.
Wow. Let's see. How do we get around this?
Well, I think we either have to jump this or go around.
I think there's currently some confusion about what direction this movement should go.
They're trying to get people to fill up this space in here, but so Hong Kong has these really annoying pedestrian barricade things. Because it's to stop people from crossing the street, you know, from jaywalking really, but it makes it really inconvenient to get across.
Do we want to go over? I'm capable of that, but I don't match. You got like loads of gear.
Let's walk around.
Walk around?
Yeah. Unless you want to go over.
That's fine.
Okay.
Hold this.
All right. Hold on. Let's get the camera on Matt. Hold up, Matt. We're gonna see some action, Matt. Action, Matt, in action. Wow. He's like Captain America. Did you see that? That kind of athleticism.
Is there going to be Action Chris now?
Action Chris? Chris, go! Woo! Haha!
Okay,
Action
so all I
Shelley?
ask is do not show me.
Sorry, Action Shelley.
No!
Okay. Has died. Actually, no. Shelley vaulted it like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen those kung fu movies where like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? That's where Shelley was.
Oh yeah.
Just
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Turtle.
turtles are a Taoist thing. So I guess the plan is to occupy this place now.
What does it? Oh no. Oh wait, let's see some of the
For the sun. And that's a good point that sign makes. Police have been hiding their number, so it's really difficult to identify who a policeman is. So making making protesters reveal their faces. You know,
Also,
screw them. I'm going to take a picture as well.
in
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Taiko, which is like a residential area on Hong Kong Island. Last night, after the anti-mask laws announced, there were people protesting there, and then there were a line of riot police in the subway with face masks on. Not with like gas masks, but like with face masks that look kind of like, they were black, but they look kind of like a weirdly like Silence of the Lambs-ish somehow, because there was like a grate kind of thing for their mouth. So like, you know, they're the police without their badge numbers, with face masks on, facing off against people who are going to be arrested for wearing masks now, you know? Yeah, here we are in the middle of, well, here as you can see the Louis Vuitton and Tiffany. We are actually closer to the Shake Shack now.
I was thinking that. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want anyone to get their hopes up. This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen now, if they're just going to
go inside a mall. Oh, when is their cutoff?
What time is it?
It's 1:43. You gotta wrap it up? A few more minutes?
Yeah.
All right. Well, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to be here until this concludes. So
We have to catch a plane.
Yeah.
Today. So, but I have to say that this is a pretty successful march. Way more people showed up than, you know.
It began, like there was maybe like 10 or 20 people. We thought maybe that's all it's going to be. Maybe the movement's dying down a little bit. We're waiting for the weekend at least. And now, at least this many people. Oh. Wait.
What was the sign?
Can we see the sign? Oh. This is Heaven Destroys the CCP.
Well,
Thank you. I think she's just giving it to me.
That is an intense sign.
Hashtag Heaven Destroys the CCP. Let's use this. I'm going to Instagram that. Wow. All right. Hey.
That is pretty apocalyptic looking. Yeah.
Well, I'll post a good picture of this as I can, so then you guys can have a copy of it. Heaven Destroys the CCP. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. This might be, let me answer. We'll add this way. Where do you want to go? All right, hold on with us. We're trying to figure out where we're going. I really hope this doesn't end in tear gas.
I want to stand in the shade so our camera doesn't overheat.
Oh yeah, our camera overheats. It's dumb. Oh look, it's nice Chinese propaganda about their space program in the Belt and Road is my guess.
That is definitely, yeah.
All right, should we wrap it up? Okay. Well, unfortunately, guys, we have to get going. We need to, I'm sorry to say, leave the city. Obviously, we will continue to cover Hong Kong as long as this is going on, just from the safety of New York, where the only horrible smells will be that of the subway in the city itself. That was poetic, I know.
Yeah, what a moving, meaningful ending to end on.
To what we've done.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for joining us for this time in Hong Kong. We still will have episodes from our trip here coming out, a few interviews with like a Hong Kong pro-democracy legislator, and et cetera, et cetera. So
Protesters.
Protesters. So stay tuned, keep watching the channel. Be sure to check out the social media, the China Uncensored Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And Shelley's Twitter.
It's at SHELZHANG.
And remember, hashtag Heaven Destroys the CCP. Talk to you next time.